Telegram has been described as the world's most controversial messaging app. Is France's criminal investigation into its Russian founder an example of Western hypocrisy over free speech, a crackdown on crime, or simply a blow to Russian intelligence? Hello and welcome to Roundtable. I'm Enda Brady. Now, the arrest of Telegram's founder, Pavel Durov, in France has sent shockwaves across the world. French authorities are investigating him as part of a probe into organised crime. Meanwhile, Brussels is looking into whether Telegram breached EU digital rules by understating user numbers. Just what does this incident say about the reach of modern communications tools and the limits on free speech?
Race riots in the UK, Ukrainian military strikes against Russia, a Daesh attack on a Moscow concert hall, and anti-government protests in Thailand. All these events have either been coordinated or documented on Telegram, a freewheeling messaging app used by a multitude of groups. They include the far-right, pro-democracy activists, cryptocurrency czars, drug dealers, and Indian aunties exchanging recipes. Even the Russian military has official channels on it. So when its founder Pavel Durov was arrested on August 29th in France and subsequently put under formal investigation for alleged offences, which included complicity in enabling illicit gang transactions and the distribution of child sexual images, and the refusal to share information with authorities, it set off a firestorm of comments over free speech and content moderation. The 39-year-old Russian billionaire fled Moscow in 2014 after the government asked him to stump up user data.
My mission in life was to allow other people to also become free in a sense. And using the platforms that we created, or I created, my hope was that they could express their freedoms.
Founded in 2013, Telegram has nearly 1 billion users worldwide, who are mainly located in Asia, followed by Europe, Latin America, and the Middle East and North Africa region. It is especially popular in Russia, where it's been downloaded 100 billion times since it started. It's also common in Ukraine and other former Soviet states. But its unique selling point is the large numbers of people allowed in group chats. WhatsApp limits group chats to 1,000 users, whereas on Telegram, messages can be broadcast to 200,000 people, giving any particular post incredible reach. Users have also gravitated to Telegram because it has end-to-end encryption, although in practice, that feature has to be enabled, meaning that by default, its engineers have access to most of the content shared on the app, such as when Daesh claimed responsibility for the stabbing in the German city of Solingen in August. Durov's arrest has also created geopolitical ripples in Russia.
France's reaction to freedom of speech is well known, and relations are at their worst, not due to our fault. President Macron, among leaders in NATO and the EU, has taken a hardline stance against Russia.
At its heart, the debate over Telegram centers around whether apps have a responsibility over the content that moves across them, especially illegal activities such as child sexual abuse or money laundering. According to the Wall Street Journal, Telegram routinely ignored subpoenas by authorities for information. Now, the app has come up against the EU's Digital Services Act, one of the world's toughest pieces of online policing. So just what does Telegram stand for?
Well, we asked Telegram to respond to the allegations faced by Pavel Durov and the company, and they did not immediately reply to our request. Telegram, however, has said in a statement that it abides by EU regulations and that Durov has, quote, nothing to hide, unquote. Well, let's meet our guests. Joining us from Moscow is Sergey Markov. He is former public spokesperson for President Vladimir Putin and director of the Institute of Political Studies. Bill Mew is a privacy activist and technology analyst. He joins us from Rhodes in Greece. And here with me in the studio is technology reporter Marianne Russon and Peter Warren, chair of the Cyber Security Research Institute. You're all very welcome to Roundtable. Marianne, I come to you first. No social media platform owner has ever faced anything like this. This is unprecedented. It's a very big deal.
It is a huge deal. It is a huge deal because it means that governments are basically getting fed up now. They're sort of saying, we're losing patience. We have said for a long time that we don't believe in end-to-end encryption. We believe we should have a backdoor so that we're able to have access to dodgy criminal activity happening on social media. You're not giving us that access. We're doing something about it. It's interesting that it's come from France, though, and the route that they've done to take that action, though.
Peter, critics say Telegram is a haven for criminals and extremists and conspiracy theorists. He's presided over all of this and allegedly not intervened or changed any of it or stopped any of it. Does that merit getting arrested?
I don't. Well, in terms of getting arrested, I think that, as has just been said, the authorities are getting very, very annoyed about what's been going on. They feel that things are actually out of their control because of the breadth of social media and because of its extraterritorial nature. They want to send a sign out, and this isn't just going to be in social media. That sign is also going to be in other areas of what people are calling cybercrime. That the cyber world has hitherto been an unregulated space to largely. Now people are saying, actually, no, we want to let you know that we're going to be in this space and we're going to be doing something about it.
Bill, I just want to come to you. Has Durov brought all of this on himself? I mean, this has been going on for years, and something seems to have snapped in the last week that the authorities have had enough.
Well, they have asked him time and time again to comply with legally served warrants for information. They have asked him to actually participate in some of the organizations that are seeking to crack down on child pornography and a whole host of other woes. And time again, he has refused to cooperate in any manner whatsoever. And therefore, to a very large extent, he's brought this upon himself. It would have taken only a small amount of cooperation on his part to actually convince them that it wasn't worth going to this full extent. But we are where we are now, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out.
Sergey, I just want to get the Russian perspective. How shocked were you when you heard that he was arrested having flown in on his private jet? This guy's an extremely successful Russian billionaire, and now he's facing very serious allegations and a full criminal investigation in France.
It's absolutely no shock in Russia. It was fully expected because we're very realistic. We know that Pavel Durov, now it's new name of the freedom. It's a main free space for the open discussion, because in another social network like YouTube and Facebook, very strong political censorship and dictatorship, I would say, of the United States of America. So it was a deal of timing when United States of America intelligence service community would like to arrest Pavel Durov, as they did it on the French territory in fact. Second issue, very important for us, everybody knows that Russia, the Jewish of 21st century, it's officially allowed to have mass political repressions just only because you are Russians. Durov Russian, that's why he is under the political repression. So it was absolutely no. Another third point. We know that Western countries, European Union and United States, moved from democracy to new kind of autocracy, new kind of dictatorship. And there are a lot of signs of this. First time in American history, the president became the president as a result of the falsified elections. We could see that the Western countries support absolutely clear anti-democratic dictatorship in Ukraine. It's very important characteristic that Western countries is the countries with destroying of democratic institutions. That's why.
Sergey, I want to ask you, do you think he's been arrested then that there is a malign influence, as you would see it? Someone else is behind this? France has done the dirty work, but do you think America is behind the arrest of Durov?
Of course, no doubt. any doubt among our colleagues that it was arrest orchestrated by United States of America? I think no specialist doubt about this. France also has own interests, of course, but mostly I think I believe that he was arrested on the French territory because he has French citizenship. That's why on the French territory, Pavel Durov cannot be protected neither by Russia nor by United Arab Emirates. In any other countries, Russia and United Arab Emirates can demand to liberate him and so on. On the French territory, no. That's why it's Americans who arrested Pavel Durov. And with Americans, Pavel Durov has real negotiation because they want to take control of the Telegram as a point of network. For us, only question, why they did it now? What expected next stage after they would take control of the Telegram? What another hit to the freedom United States, European Union want to make after they crash freedom and Telegram?
Thanks, Sergey. Thank you. Marianne, I've heard from commentators this week that the arrest of Durov is almost akin to, bear with me this analogy, a bank robber robbing a bank and using a certain vehicle as a getaway car, and then the police go and arrest the manufacturer of the vehicle because this bank robber has committed a crime using it. Does that analogy work with all of this?
Yes, it does make sense. So essentially, France are saying, right, you're a French citizen. You have basically we've asked for your help. You've refused to help the authorities. We're going to hold you, the CEO of this company, we're going to hold you personally responsible for aiding and abetting criminal activity, for not moderating your app. This is your business. So if you had an unsafe car, you'd be asked to recall it. They're saying, sort your house out, and you haven't done, so we're going to hold you responsible. I am not entirely sure whether this will really fly. I also find it very, very interesting that the European Commission's latest regulations, which is the Digital Markets Act, which is primarily, one of the primary tenets of that is to actually sort of regulate tech giants and sort of find them personally responsible if they cause harm to society. And interestingly, the European Commission were asked for their opinion on this, and they said, this has nothing to do with us, this has nothing to do with the DMA, this is France, and this is their business with their citizen.
Peter, what does this mean now for the owners of other big tech platforms like WhatsApp, Signal? This must have sent shockwaves through the whole tech scene.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it, that Zuckerberg came out saying that he wished he hadn't cooperated with the Biden administration. I think that they're all looking at this and they're thinking, hang on a minute, it looks as though people are going to start saying that we have some obligation to moderate our traffic. I mean, there's a really interesting irony in all of this, though, which is all of these people are saying that they want to protect the privacy of these people and their rights of expression, etc., etc. Yet all of these huge, big tech giants have made huge amounts of money out of exploiting that data that they hold on all of those individuals, because that's what they've made their money out of, is interpreting that information. If they wanted to reverse engineer that, at any point, they could reveal the identities of the people. So there's a bit of semantics going on in all of this thing about we're providing these private channels. And yeah, I think that they're all going to be very, very worried about it. But they knew that this was going to come. They knew that in providing encrypted or allegedly encrypted areas for people to do transactions, that would actually generate interest from the authorities. I've looked through my Telegram contacts at the moment, and I've seen lots of people, top AI people that I know there on Telegram, lots of journalists, some of the top investigative journalists in the world, I've noticed, are on there, and activists. I mean, these are all people who have an interest in using encryption to protect what they're doing. They're not necessarily criminal, but that's going to be one of the arguments that's going to start to occur.
Bill, I just want to take a look at Telegram itself and some of the numbers. So, according to a report by Statista, Telegram is the third most downloaded messenger app globally, following WhatsApp and Snapchat. Last year, India, Russia, and the United States were the app's top markets. That's based on download figures. In 2021, it was the most downloaded app worldwide with 1 billion downloads. So it's obviously extremely successful. It's made this guy Durov a billionaire. What's your reading of the content that is being exchanged there and the allegations that criminals are organising, drugs are being sold, and images of child abuse are being traded or at least shared on that platform?
Well, Telegram isn't alone in having a lot of nefarious people on the platform. It tends to possibly attract a larger proportion of nefarious actors because of the level of privacy and anonymity that it provides. But it's become under threat from a number of different countries. I mean, the French aren't the first. There are countries such as China, Ethiopia, Guinea, Somalia, Iran, Iraq, Oman, Thailand, Turkmenistan, the UAE, and Uzbekistan, all of which currently have restrictions on Telegram. And on top of this, there are over 31 countries that have banned Telegram at some point, either temporarily or permanently, since 2015. Also, there's a massive pressure upon all of the platforms to actually step up their moderation and to try and limit the amount of harm being done to users, but also on top of that, to aid authorities to stamp out criminality. And I think Telegram stands at the extreme for the lack of cooperation that it has shown towards all sorts of collaboration in any kind towards either law enforcement or towards the international organizations that are seeking to stamp down on things like child pornography. And therefore, Telegram set themselves out as particularly uncooperative and therefore in the firing line for this sort of action.
Sergey, what's the feeling in Russia about Durov? I mean, he left your country. Would he be welcome back now if the French said, just go back to Russia, stay in Moscow and do what you want? Would Russia take this guy back?
Yes, Russia will take him back. As I know, his brother, Nikolai Durov, already in Russia, as some rumors go. No specific fact information, but it's rumors that Nikolai Durov already left United Arab Emirates to Russia because Russia is mostly safe country right now. And Nikolai Durov, he is in fact a technical creator of the Telegram and previous Kontakte. It's a Russian-based network. So Nikolai Durov already saved his freedom in Russia. It's a good way for the Pavel Durov to do the same. But at the same time, I wanted to say that Pavel Durov, his by ideology, and is a big contradiction with Russia, because Russia very much on the traditional values. It's about strong political power, and Pavel Durov, he is a libertarian. He is ultra extra for freedom. That's why he probably thinks that he could have some problems with Russian authorities. And he already left Russia because he had problems with Russian authorities. He created Kontakte, is the best Russian, in fact, network. He is genius. It's absolutely clear. But Russia didn't respect this fact in the past. Probably now, Russian authorities will respect that he is genius more and will be more welcome to him.
Sergey, thank you. Marianne, I'm curious about what Bill said there, that he was repeatedly asked to cooperate with various different enforcement authorities and didn't. How difficult would it be to clean up Telegram? Because that's clearly what the authorities want.
I mean, are you asking if it's technically difficult?
Can it be done?
Of course it could be done. Of course they have access to all our data. They could see what's going on there. Of course they could. It might involve breaking their own end-to-end encryption, but we don't know that they aren't already looking at all the data in there anyway and trying to profit off that. So yes, it could be done. The interesting thing is, during the UK riots that happened a month ago, And a very unusual article came from Politico. Now, obviously, I haven't verified the claims said in it, but they are saying that when they approached Telegram and asked it what they were doing about the riots, Telegram informed them that it had already started to remove some chat rooms relating to rioters trying to galvanize support to arrange mini riots across the UK.
Is that because they were scared that the French situation now might have been replicated in the UK, that someone from the UK government could have said, this guy lands in Britain, arrest him?
I have no idea about that. It wouldn't surprise me, but definitely there has been pressure either from the Met Police or from the British government. The British government has come down a lot on encrypted messaging apps in the last year, definitely last summer into last autumn with the online safety bill. And they were saying a lot about this. And some of these apps, including WhatsApp, said, we will leave if you force us to break encryption. The British government has a very, very complicated relationship with mass surveillance, though. And a few years ago, they actually put out a contest asking anyone in the global tech industry to help them find a legal backdoor into social media which didn't involve breaking encryption. This is a complete fallacy that doesn't exist. Think of your messages and your data like a pipe. You can either have the pipe clogged or you can open the pipe and it all comes out. There's no such thing as having a secret passageway. So governments know this, and so this will be the next thing, right? Fine, get hold of the guy on criminal charges. But if I was a French regulator, I would say, if I read this Political article, why have you done it for them? Why can't you do it for us?
Very good point. I just want to look at what the President of France has said about this. There is an allegation this is all politically motivated, Peter. President Macron has said this is in no way a political decision. It's up to the judges to decide. So he's batting that away quite strongly. Do you believe the French president?
I go back to what I was saying at the beginning, which is that it's political insofar as there is pressure across the West to actually come to terms with these encrypted messaging apps. Because some of the people in law enforcement are saying, well, if you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. So why are you using this app? And obviously journalists and other people like that who are definitely using it want to use it because they want to protect those conversations. They are worried about the authorities. So is it political? It's political insofar as the Americans, the British, the French, many states in Europe would like to actually have access to information that people are deliberately trying to keep away from them. So it is political, and in terms of people deciding, the judges deciding whether something is right or wrong, well, that just means that the information that they've actually got, they've looked at and said, this is paedophile stuff, we're going to prosecute you for that. This is criminal stuff, we're going to prosecute you for that.
Bill, I just want to ask you, if criminals are out there and they've been using Telegram, how worried should they be now that the French authorities have the boss, the CEO of Telegram, under investigation? Do you think the criminal fraternity will be very, very scared of what might happen next?
Well, there have been instances where police and other law enforcement organizations have actually been able to gain access to the sort of group chats that we're talking about here and have cracked down and done mass arrests on different criminal groups. But I think there's a wider concern here, and that is about the anonymity online. If you are anonymous online in various different platforms, it emboldens you not only to commit crime, but to commit a host of other different harms, from online bullying to misinformation and everything else. I'm most interested by an approach that the Australians have taken, where they have mandated that if you get an internet account, you have to provide identification to the internet service provider. You are then anonymous online for most of your activity until you commit a crime, at which point the authorities can approach the internet service provider and ask for them to reveal your identity. This not only would actually mean that there would be far less bullying, far less crime online, but also when you show your identity, you will be able to show a proof of age. And one of the big harms that we have in society at the moment is the fact that so many young people are going online and seeing a content that is inappropriate to them. If we had the approach that the Australians are taking, we'd be able to age-gate the internet and all social media platforms, so that up until the age of 13, you wouldn't get access. Between 13 and 15, you'd have limited access. Again, 15 to 18, and then 18 and beyond. And that is a far better model. And I think that would eliminate an enormous amount of the social harms and actually make it far less of an inviting, anonymous environment for criminals.
Thanks, Bill. Sergey, final question to you. How much damage will this do to relations between Russia and the French government?
No influence, because in fact, Russia and France in situation of war against each other, mostly France against Russia. You may know that French sent already a lot of thousands of own soldiers and officers to take part in those war. A few hundred French soldiers already have been killed on the territory of Ukraine. Of course, they also taking part in the killing of Russians. So it's already difficult to imagine that something can be more worse.
Sergey, thank you. Bill, Marianne and Peter, that's all we have time for. Remember, you can see more discussion and debate on our YouTube channel. Just search for Roundtable, TRT World, and if you like what you see there, please do hit that subscribe button. But for now, from me, Enda Brady, and all of the team here, goodbye and thank you for watching.